What if there'll be anybody there?
Well, we will find out. All right, so. Hey guys, let me know if you can hear me.
Mic setting on?
I don't know. I'm trying to find that out. I mean, the video camera has a mic on it.
Okay. First time. It says say something in the bottom corner there.
I know, that's... I need my glasses.
Put your glasses on.
I know, it's just the reflection and whatnot.
There might not be anybody in here.
Yep, and that's fine. We are learning as we go.
Current viewers, 0.
0, yeah.
So there's nobody here yet.
Not yet. Yeah, we're the only one on here right now.
Yeah, I don't like that.
You don't like that?
No, I like it better when it's on the side there, so we can see it stream.
Well, it would stream right in the center, this way.
Yeah, but it would be right over the...
Well, no, I was moving it to the side so you could see the image.
And now I don't see any movement at all on the camera.
You can see my face moving.
Yeah, and I'm moving my head from side to side.
Yeah. It's a slight delay, love.
A slight delay? I didn't hear any knocking.
Sorry.
Can I help you?
Yeah, I'm done, and I would like to be in here.
Okay, well, we call you in just a minute.
Have you guys started?
We're figuring something else out. Is there something going on with the stream?
That's
Okay.
fine.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. They're great kids, but they still slam doors.
Alright, it might be listed as private. That might be why. No, yep, it's still listed as private.
Oh, well.
Public?
Public.
There we go. Sorry, guys,
Sorry.
to come in and join us.
Okay, that was crazy seeing our family on TV.
Mm-hmm.
That was something.
Hey, hidden within myself. How are you doing? Okay, good to hear.
Oh. Okay, so we had a couple of topics we were going to start out with.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you guys have questions, just type them in there in the live chat, and we'll try to answer them as we go along. And I'm sure we'll do a couple more live streams later on. This is our first live stream. We've never done a live stream before. We're not like big time YouTubers or anything like that. We had this channel back before the fire, but we just did it for fun, like a little bit on the side here and there. And then after the fire, we thought we were going to document everything that was going on, but it really became, and it quickly overwhelmed us. And we began documenting just a few months before the Rainies came to help us out.
Mm-hmm.
We started receiving a little bit of help here from people in the community, and it was really inspiring how many people were still helping after the fire. And it inspired us to recharge and really focus on the YouTube channel so that we could help other people who might be going through the kinds of things we were going through.
Mm-hmm.
So we started the YouTube channel back up and started documenting what we were doing and what we were going through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like we're not big YouTube stars or anything, and we're not like charismatic enough to carry that.
Don't put yourself down.
But we just hope that maybe some of the things that we're going through and recovering from that will help somebody else who's going through a major traumatic event.
Yeah, they'll see that we can make it through, and they know that they can make it through too.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what got us into doing this. So, let's see. Hidden says, I just watched the episode today. Oh, it was so beautiful. The community. Thank you.
Yeah, we have a great community around us. A lot of people out in the that are very separated, but still have this homesteading or the want to homestead, and we go out and help them. They come in and help us. It's definitely a great community to be a part of.
It is. This is a very tight-knit, small community here. We're in Concow, which is outside of the town of Paradise. It is an unincorporated community, and it's just a bunch of very hard, seasoned, country folk.
Yeah,
The people out here are not they're not city people, and every single person here has some amazing skill to offer the community. But we're all here for a reason. Every single one of us has moved out into the country for a reason, and most of us are here because we don't want to be around people.
Well, I don't want to say we don't want to be around people. We just like them a little bit farther away. We don't want to be right next to the people.
We like our space.
Yes, we like our space and our farming and our gardening.
Yeah.
Hey, Nodo Acres, good to have you here.
Yeah, and I hidden with the sea right above there. It says, farming our backyard, having a YouTube channel is hard. Yes, it is. But we're not doing it for views. We're doing it because we're hoping it'll help somebody. So anytime that somebody comments or shares the information, it's going to get out to more people. So for us, it doesn't matter if it ever gets monetized, as long as people are seeing it and they're finding some worth in it. That's what matters to us. So that's what's important. So yeah, I'm not too worried about whether or not it becomes huge or not, just as long as it's helping somebody. So anyway, that was very surreal, seeing ourselves on television. I think when the preview came out, was it last week?
Yeah, last week Friday.
And it popped up. We were watching the family previous to ours. It was just a shock to see it. It was it Genesee?
With the previous person?
Yeah, the tree house, was that the one that was right before ours? The tree house, I think it was.
No, it was the tree house was one prior to that.
Oh, we saw a little bit.
It's Angela and her husband.
All right. Yeah.
Where they had the entire farmhouse that was like he had started to work on it, and then then he had hurt his back, so they couldn't finish it.
That's right. Well, we saw a little smidge in during the treehouse episode, and then the next one we saw the big preview, and it was just like, whoa. That's actually our family on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And then some little clips popped up on Facebook, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is really really happening. I was
Yep.
yeah, it was very surreal to see our boys up there and to see Craig on there, hear my voice on the preview.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then to actually see us on television last night. Oh my goodness.
That was definitely a surreal thing.
Yeah. So, but I have to say, the experience was absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
The time goes by so quick. You think 7 days, yeah, that's a nice long time. We're really going to get a chance to get to know the Rainey family.
Yeah.
But it's
No,
like gone like that.
Yeah, I mean, from the time they get there to the time they leave each evening, it's just go, go, go. I mean, you have a blast with them. You're joking around, you're running around, you honestly forget that the camera is even there. Well, except when Sandman, one of the camera operators, starts joking right along with Matt and Misty.
Oh, yeah.
So,
It's
yeah,
like a big family, though.
yeah,
It's
they work
wonderful.
so well together, and they just make you so relaxed, and you stop worrying about it, going, oh no, what are they going to do? How are they going to make me look? And it's, hey, these are my friends that have come up this day to help. So that's
Yeah.
kind of how we took it.
And there were a lot of things that didn't make it into the video that we thought would, and things that made it in that we didn't realize were even being filmed. So
Mhm.
it's really it's just
Yeah.
it's interesting which direction they decide to take everything.
Mm-hmm.
No, so but it was a very overwhelming experience. Almost everything in the episode was donated from this community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In building the goat henge, I think they only spent about $500 in diesel because
Yeah.
all the equipment and everything was donated.
Fully donated.
And the fencing, I think, was even some of that was donated, and they didn't spend much at all on the garden.
No, all the wood for the garden was milled here on the land.
And the milling equipment was the time and the equipment was
That
donated.
was all donated as well.
The soil was
Yeah.
donated.
Mhm.
I think they only spent money on maybe the barbed wire that they used and the plants, something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
It was incredible the way the community came together to support what they were doing to help out survivors, to help us.
Yep. So, what questions do you guys have for us? Most of you have seen the episode. Let us know. I mean, we're here to answer questions. We can kind of give you a behind-the-scenes look at what went on for the week that the Rainies were here.
And one of the videos we're going to be doing next week should have some video that we filmed behind the scenes, a little bit of video,
Yeah.
because we didn't have much time with all the projects we were doing to actually do any filming or take any photos, but we did a little bit.
Yeah.
When
we had a minute here or a minute there downtime, I'd grab the camera and zoom in from a distance, because we actually were told from the very beginning, don't go over to where Marty is working with the excavator. Stay away from there. We want that to be a surprise.
Yeah.
So
the unveiling of that goat henge was a surprise.
And that was the first time we actually saw it. So,
yeah.
Our dog's in the background.
Dogs aren't happy they're not in the RV with us, but we have 3 big dogs. They'll be jumping all over the computer and the camera. The baby goats are doing great. In fact, I'm going to go out and get the one that we've been bottle feeding because she's out with the boys right now. She needs to come in before it gets too cold, so I'll be right back.
Okay. What is your favorite improvement that they did? Let's see. I'm torn. I'm torn between the garden I mean, that thing is so cool. And Goat Henge. I mean, it is really just, the garden was a major Misty, pardon me, a major Misty project, and that in and of itself was just phenomenal. And of course, Goat Henge took Marty almost 4 days of being on the excavator nonstop. Didn't, I mean, we had to send a runner down with him with his lunch because he refused to stop when it was lunchtime to come and get lunch. So we had to send lunch to him, and he ate on the excavator and continued working. I mean,
Right.
when people say that Marty is a workhorse, he really is a workhorse, and he gets things done.
They they were working up until almost almost sunset on the final day.
Mm-hmm.
Now the sun was setting when they did the unveiling.
Mm-hmm. So no baby goat.
Oh, the boys are going to come in just a minute.
Okay.
So,
All right. So
they
the boys
finished their chores and they want to bring the baby goat in because
Okay.
they were feeding her.
Mm-hmm. George Run Homestead says we want a tour. We will definitely, now that Homestead Rescue has done its unveiling, we will definitely give you a full farm tour
That's,
of our entire 10 acres. Most of it is still burned out and flattened property.
it will
but
be for a while.
It will be for a while. But we'll definitely show you what it looks like and where we are with everything. Here we go. All right. Yes, please thumbs up, guys. The more likes we get, the more we'll be encouraged to do more of these live streams. So, here is Liam and Liam and Riley. I wasn't actually looking at who was standing where, and of course, our little bottle baby goat right now. And so.
That's not what you're looking for, is it?
The bubble.
Kind of surreal to see so much getting done at once. Oh my gosh, it was just so phenomenal to see so many people on our property in good moods, helping out and just giving of themselves. Because one thing they didn't show in this is we had about 8 or 9 volunteers from our community drive the 45 minutes from town up to our property about 3 times for 3 days and help us in the construction. So, yeah, having so many people on our property with the idea of let's get this homestead up and running was just phenomenal. And it definitely brought back a sense of community to this area.
It's really strange, especially after this place was so desolate and quiet, nothing on it after the fire, to have so many people there. And then once they leave and it's so quiet again,
Yep.
it is a very strange feeling. But empty.
Yeah, almost.
Empty.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like you can still feel the echoes of
All the people.
all those people. Yeah.
Let's see. Homestead evolution. Do the goats climb on the rocks of Goat Henge? Yes.
Yes.
Actually, if you look closely at the final few scenes, you'll actually see us herding the goats back in to Goat Henge, and you'll see them jumping from the rocks back into Goat Henge. And so yeah, goats climb. Right now, the goats are not in Goat Henge; they're in our winter paddock, and that gives me enough time to fence around the outside where the rocks are, because it's one side that's solid rocks, but of course, our goats are fantastic climbers and great escape artists. So of course, within the first day or two of Homestead Rescue heading out, the goats had figured out how to climb up.
It was the second day after they left, but our goats are Kikos from New Zealand, so they're even better climbers than a typical goat would be. So yeah, they found a couple of weak spots that we need to shore up.
Yeah.
that. But otherwise, it's a great enclosure. It works well for the donkeys and the ducks. Love the little pond that's in there. That was something that they didn't talk about in the video. Marty found a spring when he was clearing the area, and he dug out that little spring and made a pond for our ducks. And our ducks are just having a great time in there. So,
I love throwing bread to them.
bread.
Yeah, it's great. And I
Is
also
that where all the bread's going? Oops.
I think we figured out where it went to.
No comment.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, actually, Kaylee did, True did, Tino did, pretty much all my teachers did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, they played the commercial at school.
Yeah.
They didn't actually play the thing, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
How
Cool.
about you, Liam?
All of first through sixth saw it.
Oh, they played it at school?
No, they watched it on.
They watched it at home?
Yeah.
Oh,
Cool.
cool.
Yeah, Kaylee said that, she hated it, the last part.
When he
No,
left?
Yeah.
the sad. Yeah.
I have an open invite to come back and visit anytime.
Yep.
Yeah. Matt said he might come back.
Yeah, he has
Mhm.
friends in the area, so we'll see. You know,
No, she's already.
she's almost done with
I
her
filled
bottle.
that thing almost all the way full.
I
Just in
know.
like an hour.
She's a hungry, hungry little girl.
Hungry,
Yep.
hungry goaty.
Mhm.
Hungry, hungry goaty.
She has the goody
Wow.
small little ears.
Speaking of goats, we had 4 baby goats born on Tuesday night.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't breed them. We didn't know.
They were surprise
They
babies.
were surprise babies because we didn't breed this year since we have so much going on with the homestead. These babies, based on our calculations, were bred before they returned home. So that was a surprise, and I should definitely have been paying closer attention. I should have noticed the signs. So we have 2 girls and 2 boys. This little girl, unfortunately, she got a broken leg shortly after being born. And we found her with a broken leg. So she's staying inside as a bottle baby.
She's spoiled rotten.
Yeah, we have 2 mamas, a girl, one younger one, and her mother. And this little girl just wouldn't be able to compete with her siblings, so she's getting bottle fed. Anyway, we need names. 2 girls, 2 boys.
Yes.
And we're going to do a competition and see who can come up with the best names for our baby goats.
I thought about calling this one Petunia.
Well, we're going to let our audience help us out with that. And so we're going to let, go for 2 weeks?
I think about 2 weeks.
2
yeah.
weeks. So 2 weeks from today, we'll announce the decision on what the names will be. We have 2 girls and 2 boys. And this is one of them here.
It's one of the
One
girls.
of the girls. We have 1 girl and 2 boys out in the trailer with their mamas.
Mm-hmm.
Keep them safe from the coyotes.
Yep.
And
Oh yeah.
this
No
little
way.
girl is going to be spoiled rotten and probably carried around in a baby sling everywhere I go
For a while at
until
least.
she can walk around and put weight on her foot.
And then she'll
So-
just be walking next to mom,
Yeah.
asking for more
She
milk.
will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
So something I found interesting was that the goats, like
That's it.
Oh.
You've drunk it dry. There's
She's
there's
okay.
just a drop left.
that the goats can just keep drinking milk and more and more and more and more. I think it's probably just one of their instincts because oh man, you're stuffed.
We'll see slipping some more.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, don't mind. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
When should be named? Oh, Leap, since they were born on the week of Leap
Leap Day.
Yeah.
Hey,
Our best
that's
Faith
pretty
friend.
good.
should be her name.
Faith should be her name.
Wiccan Chicken. Okay.
All right.
Waking chicken.
Yep.
I like that one.
Good ideas.
Yeah. Hey,
Keep
T-
them- yeah.
Keep them coming.
hey TNS Dogs and Dragonfly Farm. How are you doing? You're actually fairly close to us, aren't you? Hope, faith, love, and friendship. That's not too bad, no does. Yeah, that's not bad. We'll definitely take the suggestions from here and add them to the other suggestions that are coming in. So
we often use some kind of a theme each year. Last year the themes were.
Wait, we don't need
she
more
doesn't
right
need
now.
any more
Oh,
right
yeah.
now. But go ahead and put it in the fridge.
She's
keep
really
Thank
it
you,
in.
honey.
She's almost like a ball now.
Yes.
She's so round.
Yeah, keep the ideas coming. Last year our themes were all about hope in the future, and the year before it was all but native plants, and the year before that it was all trees. And the year before that I think it was
The three
sushi.
little goats.
Was it sushi?
I
the year
know
before
one
that.
of them was sushi.
our initial flock was sushi.
Our initial flock was sushi.
Yeah, that's where Spider Roll.
Spider Roll came from that one.
Yep.
And then
I think we've only had 3 years of goat.
Cool.
5.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man. So, kind of feels like having a little sister, to be honest.
Am I a part of this?
Yeah, you're a part of this. Of course you are. Ew.
He's making sure he's fitting in. You're fine.
Well, yeah, it's just it's
Oroville.
Yeah,
Strange.
So they're in Oroville.
In my way.
Well, we're in the same postal zip code anyway.
Yep.
We don't have a post office up here, so Oroville is considered our post office.
So what other questions do you have? We have a few more people that have joined us. Definitely ask away. We're here to talk and kind of give you the behind the scenes for our Homestead Rescue episode, Burned Out.
I heard a question as I was going out what our favorite something was about the show. But
Oh,
what was
yes. Let me scroll back up to that. All right. I think it was like, what is your favorite project, or what was your favorite project?
Improvement.
Yeah. What was your favorite improvement?
You
Since
guys
I
have
got
a
to tell
favorite
mine, what about you guys?
our like improvement.
that they did on the homestead.
Oh, there's
The
so many.
garden.
Yeah,
You like the garden?
There's so much food in there now.
I personally like the pond because I've always wanted a body of water somewhere on the property. I don't know why, water just makes me calm. And then not only to mention that, but when the pond overflows, it merges into the stream.
Mm-hmm.
And so now it's more of a river than a stream, and I saw some little fishies in there. That was really cool. And then that stream comes down into our culvert, which goes through to the other culvert, and then it goes back into the river, and it's really nice.
Cool.
That's probably one of my favorite.
You know what? That's so hard to say.
Right?
But you know what? I mean, okay, I like all of it. But one of the things that they did that they didn't talk about on the show was how they built a lot of roads in between everything on the property, which is really great for me because it improved the mobility for me on the property. And being disabled, mobility is an issue, especially on this hilly mountain property.
Yep.
So that increased my mobility on the property like 1,000%. There are little trails and roads to everything on the property now, and that wasn't the case before. I had to walk to almost everything. Yeah, it was hard to get around.
Yep.
It makes it so much easier for me to be able to take part in this homesteading dream, which was originally my dream. Anyway, so
Yep.
I just infected these guys.
Yeah. So, looks like one of the names was Tide Pod?
What?
Tide Pod.
We
I
don't have
see
Tide
I don't
Pod.
see a Tide Pod there.
Tripod or something? I don't know.
Where are you seeing
I
that?
can't read
You
it.
seeing T and S?
TNS Dogs Dragonfly Farm? That's their name.
No,
Don't-
it's tripod.
Okay,
You don't see it?
no. Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
I think
tripod.
Okay, Real Life with Michelle said, I think the one with the broken leg should be Tripod.
Oh, I thought you were okay. See, when we look on the live stream, we look for the person's name first and respond to their name. So and then then we read what they said so that they know we're responding to them. So I thought you were looking for the person's name, and then their name was Tripod or Tide Pod.
Oh. Sorry.
Yeah.
Tripod. Oh, yeah, that's
It's
cool.
new.
Yeah. So 4 kids
New
and
for us too.
yeah. So 4 kids on a farm said we were up in Chico for school before the fire, so we know the whole Paradise Chico area. We are so sorry what happened there. Sorry, I'm going to be in and out for this. Not a
That's
problem.
okay.
4 kids and a farm. We understand, especially with 4 kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have 3. Our oldest
Mm-hmm.
is 21, and he is now in Utah, living his own life as an adult.
Yep.
And we were foster parents before we adopted our boys, so we have
had
had a lot of kids.
So we
Yeah.
know the chaos that comes.
Yeah, we get
So
Yeah.
yep, we'll be streaming until we don't want to stream. So at
it.
least
Probably
the hour.
probably like 6:30 because we started late.
Yeah,
we started
so-
at 5:20.
Yeah.
And now we know how this works, and we know that we can't use the other computer to do this.
Really?
It has
Yeah.
to be this computer.
Yeah,
So-
the other computer has some sort of restriction on it that was keeping the video
'Cause
camera
it's for
from
the
streaming.
kids. It's the kids' computer. You can't use the kids' computer for this.
Yep.
Right, because it has the mode on
Mhm.
it.
Restricted mode on it. Yeah, we didn't know
Yep.
that.
Yeah. These
So-
guys are like
I did all the setup on it
protective,
and
man.
went to launch it, and I got an error.
You're
And
just
I
like,
erred,
hmm?
and it erred, and it erred, and
You're probably just
finally,
like-
once Jess came back, she was like, "Here, use my computer." So that's what we're actually using, and yeah, so we're just a little bit late, but we're up and running.
And tech isn't very, what would you say? Not very strong up here yet. Like the internet and stuff
Oh,
like that.
yeah,
is
the-
like,
The connection,
yeah, connection speed is really slow out here. We're in the middle of nowhere, really. There's no cable, stuff like that.
yeah. We're actually streaming through our cell phone right now, so we've connected the laptop to our cell phone just so that we can get a strong enough signal to stream.
So yeah, that's how things are right now with us. And we're living in an RV, using our internets for our cell phones for internets. And that wasn't possible before the fire. Actually, we didn't have strong
No.
enough signal out here to even use a cell phone. So
No, we had no signal whatsoever.
Yeah. What was your guys' favorite part of the show?
the show or
the episode
or the
or-
episode or
episode.
having people
Okay.
here.
The episode. My favorite was the snake.
My favorite part was watching you guys with Matt because I didn't get to see that part. You guys went off with Matt and I didn't get to see you. So
Yeah.
I didn't know what happened with you guys. So
Yeah, Matt seemed a little surprised when I knew what baby rattlesnakes did.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
he was very impressed with your knowledge and how competent you were.
Mm-hmm.
You guys
Yes.
are you
There
are
is
very competent young men.
There is so much that they cut out of there. Like
Yes,
so
well-
much.
They couldn't. I mean, they filmed for an entire week, and they had to cut it down to 45 minutes.
Yeah, day 3 I think
So.
was like
Day 3.
it's probably like around I don't know, 'cause I think there was only like 5 days in it, right?
No, they were on the property for 7
They were here
days.
for 7 days.
Yeah, but in
But
the
you were only here.
episode-
You were
Yeah.
only here for 5 days out of those 7 days.
Oh, that
or
would
4
make
days
sense.
out of those
Oh,
7
okay,
days.
that would make
Why's
sense.
that?
Because
Because you're a minor and they can only have minors on set for a certain amount of time by law. So you
We were
remember
with Mr. Craig.
you were with Mr. Craig and your teacher. They had to have an on-set teacher for a little while, and then sometimes you were with Adelio, and you know,
Yeah.
and then they would bring you back on set, and you would be on set with Mr. Craig, and then they'd bring you on to do a recording, and then you'd go back and do your schoolwork.
Yeah, that makes
So.
sense.
Yeah, it was very interesting because they hadn't done a lot of video with young people on the Homestead Rescue before. So they actually brought an on-set teacher to work with the kids
Yep.
on their homework. The kids were homeschooled, so they
Yep.
did they have labor
Yeah.
laws about what amount of time that a young person, a minor, is allowed to be on a recording set, and they're not allowed to be on set for a certain amount of time, so they actually had to leave the property and then come back, even though the property is where they live. It's also where they were being filmed. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, and even though they're not doing work, they were doing school with the on-set teacher, not working and filming. That's still considered working time because they're on. It's complicated, but anyway.
Yeah.
So we had to obey those laws. So the kids had to go into town and stay with family and stay with a friend and then come back on for a certain number of days. So, but it was really cool that they had an on-set teacher to do their homeschooling with while we were doing our recording, and then we could work with them
I
in between
remember
and stuff.
we waited to get our stuff done, and then we got to play football.
Yeah,
Or something.
that was really cool.
Yeah.
He was a really cool teacher. It was a very public school, and see how that worked. So they're in schools with other kids who also went through the fire, with teachers who also went through the fire, who understand what they're going through, and trying it out to see if they like going to public school. And at the end of this school year, they'll decide, and we'll decide together, whether or not public school is the right fit for each of them individually, and or whether or not the homeschool is the right fit. And it might be that one of the boys is the best fit is public school, and maybe the other boy homeschool is the better fit.
Yeah.
You know?
I got an award today.
You did?
Good.
I'm
Yeah,
sure you did.
I got a Hawk of the Month award.
All right. Is that kind of like Student of the Month?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, of course you did.
And
And he brought a pink slip home today, which is
I did.
Yeah, you had it in your backpack. You showed me.
it's a good pink slip, not a
Good.
bad
Pink
thing.
slips are good things in
Yep.
his school.
That was an old one.
Oh, it was an old
Okay.
one?
Because she doesn't give them on Friday,
Oh, okay. Well, it was what, from yesterday?
probably.
Yeah.
That I forgot to ask you to sign.
Okay.
Well, I'll sign it for you.
But his report card did come in. They're all B's and A's.
Awesome. Good job.
Pretty good. I'm
I
getting
got two.
A's, C's, and B's.
I got
Okay.
an A.
Keep
Something
working
to work on,
Yep,
but
work
you're
on
that's
those
definitely
C's.
I'm
good.
getting there.
I got
Mhm.
an A.
My back's killing me.
An A for
You
PE.
can go lay down. It's
An
okay.
A minus in history, K4. A B in a B plus in math. Or no, wait. I don't remember.
Well, we'll look at it tonight.
Oh,
Congrats to both boys.
yeah, thank you, farming our backyard. That's very nice of you to say. Yeah, a lot of.
I'm part of this.
Mom said
too.
that we got a
Mother,
lot of
come in here.
comments. Mom said that we got a lot of comments from the Homestead show. We got a lot of comments.
Yep.
Most of them were very nice.
Yep.
But again, it was like, it was exciting, but then again, it was like very nerve-wracking, especially since it takes so long to get out there. It's very nervous because when it finally comes out, you're gonna start like shaking a lot, and
No.
you know.
No.
It's lagging anyway. You won't see yourself
Yep.
live.
All right. So Nodo Acres is asking, what was our least favorite thing about them being there?
Well,
Privacy. Lack of privacy.
that and to be honest, I don't know if Marty really realized that the goat henge was going to be 100% predator proof, because there is literally a hill and a slant, and then there's a fence all around it. well, he didn't fence that slant off, so literally animals can just go whoop,
Yeah.
and
they
they're
can-
into with the goats. So we have the donkeys up there and the ducks.
Donkeys are good at protecting
Yes.
the ducks, but we have we lost a couple of ducks, but they're ducks. That's what they do. They get out and they fly around, and sometimes they don't stay put. So, we kind of expected some duck loss.
Yeah.
But it does a good job doing what it's supposed to do.
The little baby goat
See you
is
later,
asleep.
Dragonfly's farm.
Yep. Dragonflies farm.
See ya later.
All right. What about you, Liam? What was your least favorite project that they worked on?
I'm gonna go and start making grilled cheese if that's okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I like all of it.
You like
There
all of
wasn't
it?
really. There isn't really
It's in the bag in our bedroom.
What about the part when they left?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was really
Saying
hard.
goodbye. That was a really hard part.
Yeah.
Liam and Misty were very close during the show. And even after the show, we've talked to Misty a couple times since then. Well, it was really hard when she left because they were really close. And it's hard to not get attached when you care about somebody.
Mm-hmm. All right, let me give this a shot. I'm going to try and go to the fan group page.
So we're still on though, right?
Oh, yeah, we're still on.
All
Yeah,
right.
I'm just swapping it over so I can...
Let's see. Most of the thing was great though. I mean, there was a point when it got really cold, and we fired up the fire pit out here in front of the RV,
Oh yeah.
and we made tea and hot cocoa, and I made some hot ginger and honey drink for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That was
And
nice.
the crew came down and warmed themselves up around the fire, which was really nice.
We got to have marshmallows in the middle of the day.
And, yeah, marshmallow roasting in the middle of the day. The kids love that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty cool. And I don't know, it was just, I'm just so excited. I can't wait because we've been having to hold back for basically the last 5 months.
Since the beginning of
The
October.
1st.
October
We've
1st.
had to hold back and not show all of our homestead in our videos. And now we finally get a chance to show everything.
Our
So-
friends
and
helped
we had-
us with this.
Yes.
Yeah, we had
Yes. For those who have been watching our videos, you'll notice that we kind of say we had friends help us build the garden. We had friends help us with the animals. Those friends were Homestead Rescue. That was our way of
the Rainies.
keeping the lid on it, but at the same time still explaining just saying we didn't build this garden by ourselves. We had help.
Right. Well, I don't know. My least favorite part is they didn't let me do as much as I wanted to do. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I wanted to rebuild that well all by myself and cut a bunch of trees and stuff like that. There were certain things I wasn't allowed to do because of liability. And I wanted to do it all because it's my property, darn it.
Yeah, they didn't put me in any building parts, even though I helped a lot build the garden.
And there's only so much the footage that they can show in one episode. So.
That's true,
Yeah.
but I actually helped put up the boards. Remember
Yeah, I
that?
remember.
And we helped cut and stuff.
Yeah, you both did that.
That was really
Hey, Smith Family Ranch. Hey, Stivers. Great to have you guys here.
Stivers. Hello.
Hi.
Go fish.
Didn't
I think our kids are fans of you.
Didn't
A little bit.
A little bit.
Didn't we
Actually,
see
a
you
lot.
guys at Homestead Rescue? The
Homes-
Stivers?
The
No,
Homestead-
Homesteaders of America.
We've got
didn't
them
go
at
there.
Homesteaders of America, but you guys didn't go to that one. You went to the Seed Expo.
Yeah.
You remember?
Sure, Expo.
Wait,
We
what?
saw Doug and Stacy there.
Yeah, you met Doug and Stacy
Oh.
at Seed Expo and a bunch of other YouTube friends. But you watched divers on YouTube. That's why it feels like you know them firsthand.
Yeah. It was actually kind of shocking meeting Doug and Stacy at the thing. I was like, "It's Mom, it's Doug." And she's like, "Well, yeah, go on up and talk to her." And I'm like, "Hi." He's like, "Sup?" Okay.
All right. So, can someone please share the link to this live stream in the chat?
Yes.
Because that way I'll be able to copy it and post it on the fan page. For some reason, I'm not finding my my own live stream. As we said, this is brand new to us. So, would someone please grab
Isn't it right there, that URL right
I
there?
don't know if that's the right one. I don't want to share the wrong one.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah, there's like 2 URLs right there.
I know,
the stream URL right
I don't
there
know if
and
that's
backup.
I don't know if that's the same one. I mean, I'll try it, but
Yeah, Doug is very
yes,
tall.
Doug is very
He's
tall.
very. I thought Craig was
Extremely.
tall. Doug is very, very tall.
He's like 6 foot something, maybe even more.
Dad is 6 foot something. Doug is 6 foot something.
Was that it, Dad?
Yeah, I think that was it. Thank you.
No,
Did someone post it?
Yeah.
Ah, there we go. That's the one I need.
Farming our backyard share.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Appreciated.
Yeah, the Seed Expo is wonderful. If you have a chance to go to the Seed Expo
In Santa
in
Rosa.
Santa Rosa, California, it's wonderful. We are trying to make it to the spring planting festival. That's coming up in May.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to make it to that. We're going to be going to the Homesteaders of America conference again this year, and we're going to the Homesteading Live conference with Doug and Stacy this year. And we'll see if we can make any other events. I don't know for sure which ones we'll be able to make. It just really depends on what's going on our property at the time and where we are in the rebuilding stage. So, also our pet sitters schedules. We have a really great farm sitter now, a good friend of ours, and that's helping out tremendously.
Very much so, yeah.
But we can't rely on her all the time.
She has her
because
own
she
life.
has her own life and her own animals to take care of.
Mm-hmm.
Who
So,
is it?
Robin,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, she's really great. Yeah, we love Robin.
Robin's pretty great.
So, did your bus driver literally roll out a red carpet for you this morning?
No. She threatened to, but
Well, what's that?
this is...
Okay.
I'm trying to find my post so that I can let people know that we're on here.
So, this is really interesting, and it really brings home for me, like, just how close,
Liam.
just
Liam.
how, honey, just how close we all are. Craig's from Alaska,
Mm-hmm.
and his dad is actually friends with a family that Marty
Has been friends with
has
for
been
many
friends with
years
for a
as
long
well.
time. And they were actually on the same show together before Homestead Rescue was a thing. And
Not me, but my
Marty,
friend.
Marty and
my friends.
his dad's friends that they basically grew up. They are actually friends with our next door neighbor.
Yeah, we're talking, and she said, "Hey, do you know this person? She really helped me out with
horses.
with my horses and helping me bring them back." And we're going, "Yeah, that's our next door neighbor. She was the one who took care of our animals during the fire."
Yeah,
So-
our neighbor came up and took care of the animals just after the fire, before the rescue agencies were able to get in and evacuate them out. And they're wonderful neighbors. Just, I mean, the best neighbors you could ever ask for. And they're good friends with the people who are going to be on the show next week.
Yep.
So, I mean, like, everything is connected somehow. It's really miraculous. And it just really shows you, like, how close everybody really is in this world and how important it is to maintain connections, because we're all connected.
Yep. All right.
It's a
So,
very small world.
where is your family in Alaska, Nodo Acres? All right. Let me.
Yeah.
I don't
maybe
like dead
we'll-
air.
Yeah,
So.
dead air.
Well, there's a delay on the streaming,
Yes,
so
for our side. Maybe
on
not
our
for yours,
side.
but
Oh,
there is
no.
off here.
yeah, it seems like we're having a full conversation, and we are, but there's about a 7 to 10 second delay from when we say it and when you guys hear it. So,
Yeah, it's a little awkward. Because I'm seeing myself crinkle my head like this.
Mystic Traditions Homestead. Copper Kettle.
Hey!
hey, Copper Kettle.
Crystal.
Hey, Crystal.
From Copper Kettle, we've known for years.
Hey!
Through completely different avenues.
Probably.
Well, we've known Crystal, what, for, gosh, since you and I
2005?
2005?
2005, 2006,
Or
we met her.
2006, maybe?
Nodo Acres.
Oh my gosh,
I was,
really?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Seward. That's my hometown. And I went running.
That's so funny.
Yep.
Do you
I
know?
probably know your family from Seward if they were there from roughly the 1970s ish to the late 1990s, because that's when I was there.
Yeah. So, or
Yeah.
vice principal.
Vice principal of the one and only elementary, junior high, and high school.
Yeah.
So I'm sure if they were there at that time, they know of my parents at least.
Dad
Nodo
wanted to...
Acres Mom and Pop's campground host in Sterling.
No.
Yeah. Sterling's not that far. It's just before Soldotna, when you're driving from Seward to Soldotna.
Oh, okay. Well, we have a Sterling in California, too, not far from here.
Dad wanted to take us up the Mount Marathon,
Mm-hmm.
the Shale Mountain,
Yep.
and he said he could run up it in 15 minutes.
No, run down.
You can run down
in
it.
15 minutes.
You
When-
more
when-
He showed
you
me
slide,
pictures.
not run. You slide.
He showed
down
me
it.
pictures of people
And
who ran the race, and most
You're
of them
being
had
cut
head
off
wounds.
from the head.
I'm
What?
back.
They were.
They
Okay.
were. Yep. That's very cool.
Very cool.
I'm gonna
Yet
make
another connection between us.
nice. I'm gonna make you guys grow cheese, and I'm gonna make myself a different sandwich.
That's fine. It's up to you.
That's fine, honey.
Are you gonna
Just
make
don't leave the bread so close to the flames, okay? The plastic from the. Thank you.
Elmendorf, 96 to 2006. Okay. I actually graduated high school in 96, so. And yes, I know Elmendorf Air Force Base very well. Oh, man. All right. So, for those who have just joined us or joined us a little bit ago, we've been talking about our experiences on Homestead Rescue, Season 6, Episode 11, called Burned Out. Please definitely throw up any questions you might have. Even if it's questions you think have been already asked, we'd love to talk about it. We had such a great time.
It was really a good. It was
Isn't
a
it
great experience.
Quincy?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my
he was
goodness.
raised near Quincy, stationed at Beale.
Really?
Yeah, Nodo's was.
That's
Oh,
He's
wow.
from
Quincy
this area.
is like so close to where we are because we're just a few miles down the street from the what's the name of that bridge? The Polga, which is like maybe 30 minutes from Quincy.
A little bit
I
more
mean,
than that, maybe about an hour.
45 minutes. I think it used to take me 45 minutes to drive up to Quincy. It was when we first were getting ready to adopt the boys.
Yeah,
they were,
me and
they
him.
were living in Quincy.
Yeah, so I'm really surprised.
Yeah. And we would go up and visit them and pick them up for sleepovers down here and take them out and stuff like that. And so we'd go up there, pick them up, and bring them down here.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had lots of great times.
Yeah. We were
still
so
do.
spoiled back then.
Okay, you don't need to go into that.
You're not spoiled now?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
No?
All right. So Chelsea is asking, are the people coming back to paradise? Yes and no. There's still a lot of burnt out properties. A lot of area. We had an option to allow the state to come in and clean out our property, and give them permission to do that. Pretty much it was we would temporarily sign over our property to the state so that they would be covered for their insurance, and allow them to come in, bring the big machines to come in and clean out all the property, and then they would hand us the rights back to our property where we could then move back on our property. There are still many people who never signed over those permissions all throughout Paradise. So as you're driving through, you still see, even though the cleanup has completed, you still see many places that are still burnt out that are up to the owners to clean. There are people coming back to Paradise. It's still considered rural, I guess, is the best way to put it.
It was redesignated as rural because of how few people were living there. I just drove through it today on the way back here because I had to go pick some things up for the nonprofit that we started after the Rainey's left here. We started a nonprofit in the community here, Community Development Corporation, to help people rebuild their homes and start their lives back up. And I stopped by a church there that was giving out a bunch of information for rebuilding, so we could get that information out to our community. And I had to drive through Paradise to go and get that information from that church. And there are homes being rebuilt in Paradise, but by far and large, most of the lots are just cleared. And there's not much building going on yet. There are still a lot of people living in tents and RVs.
Yeah.
Many people are homeless and living on the street as a result of this fire. And we are so blessed that we had a place to live, and that we went ahead with what insurance money we got from the vehicles and bought an RV in December right after the fire, because the cost of RVs in this community just skyrocketed right after the fire.
It quadrupled.
It did.
And
So we jumped on a plane and flew one way down to San Diego to visit my father, who's a master mechanic, and went shopping for an RV in San Diego. And the insurance money from our cars, which were all destroyed in the fire, even the ones we drove out in were destroyed in the fire and were totaled.
We also got a truck.
Yes.
yes.
And we found an RV that suited our needs, and a flatbed truck, and we drove those back all the way back. We stopped in Disneyland and Universal Studios and had some fun with the kids, and tried to take their minds off of what had happened, and then brought them back home. That was fun. You don't think you're spoiled?
What was it? My school is moving back up to Paradise next year, and we're gonna finally have lockers. I have to carry down this 20-pound backpack. I'm not kidding. I weighed it. 20-pound backpack full of my books every single day. And my backpack's ripping.
A lot of the schools have been relocated to churches or YMCA's and things like that in town in Chico temporarily, and they're hoping to move back up this fall. Some of them into temporary quarters, and then hopefully into permanent buildings eventually. So like Riley's school, which is in Paradise. Liam's school, which was in Concow, or is in Concow, has been moved to a school that had been closed for the last 20 years because their water systems were damaged. hopefully those will be repaired soon, and he'll be able to move back to the school and conch house soon. But right now they're in Mesilla Valley. But Concow, which is where our home is outside of Paradise by about a good 30, 45-minute drive.
Mm-hmm.
And we were hit before Paradise was. And in our community, the fire came, 2 different locations, was what they're saying.
I think so.
It was in Polga, but we're also hearing that there was another fire that started in another location as well. But I don't know if that's true or not. And when the fire hit our area, there were no cell services that worked here. The landlines were down because the power lines were down, and the landlines were burned up too. There was no way to communicate with people and tell them that the fire was coming. So if people saw the fire coming, there was no way to contact each other and tell one another that there was a fire coming because there's no cell service and there was no landline. And we're all like 10 acres away from each other or more. You can't just go door to door telling each other that there's a fire coming. We're all in a hilly area. It's not flat. You can't necessarily see the fire coming through the trees either. It's very heavily treed, large trees. We didn't know the fire was coming until the kids went outside to water the animals, and they came inside and told us. That's how we found out.
Yep.
So when we left, we were just laying on our horns the whole time down the hill, hoping that we could alert somebody, because we didn't have time to get out of our cars and go door to door. If we did that, everybody would have burned up.
Yeah, we
We
were
wouldn't
driving
have
through
made it.
flames most of the time. And something that they didn't really mention in the intro for our episode Burned Out, you see like a burnt car on fire. You see personal cell phone recordings. Those are mine. Those are the ones that I took during the fire as I drove out. And you hear me say, well, here's one of our neighbor's houses burned up, because it was. And as I was driving past, it was just gone. There was flames where his house used to be, but there was nothing left. And he was still there on property. He was actually bringing water out to other people and doing the neighborly thing, even though he had lost everything. So.
But at the time that it happened, it didn't feel terrifying. It felt like, okay, this is just what we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't. It like those feelings of terror and stuff. They didn't come up. It was just, okay, this is our plan. Here's plan A. That's not going to work. Plan B. That's not going to work. Okay, we're going straight to plan C. And we just went into action and did what we had practiced to do. And we do that 4 times a year. And I came out, and Liam was going to plan A, putting the chickens in cages and getting ready to load up in the trailers, but he didn't know the trailers were already on fire. There was no way that we were going to be able to put the animals in the trailers.
Yep.
And I said, that's not going to work. We have to go to plan C. So we went straight to plan C. And he went with it. He went right to plan C. He knew what we were supposed to do. And I'm so grateful that the kids listen and pay attention when it counts, because they knew what they were supposed to do. They knew to come and tell us that there was a fire. They didn't try to put it out themselves or lose it. They knew what they were supposed to do. They did what they were supposed to do. And when we said it was plan C, they went to plan C, and they did what they were supposed to do. And we're so proud of them. We're so proud of them. They saved our whole family. They saved our homestead. They saved our animals, and that's really the lifeblood of the homestead.
Yep.
Only doing your job.
Yep.
So it was scary once we finally got to the
safety spot.
The safety zone, and we were aware. No, you're not putting that in it. What are you doing?
I'm making myself a sandwich.
He just asked me permission. I said yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. So once we got to the safety zone, then it was scary. It was like, oh, that just happened. That really just happened to our family. That was when it was terrifying. And I don't think we really realized the magnitude of the fire until we got all the way to Sacramento.
Yeah. I mean, we wanted to normalize everything once we got out to Highway 70. And this was a good 3 or so hours into the fire being all around us. They wouldn't let us from the safety spot over to Highway 70 once we got there. We had to stay... Riley, can you please check on the dogs? And thank you. Sorry about that.
We have a dog that likes to get her head stuck in the fence, like a goat.
She can get her head out. She just wants attention this way. But, so... Yep.
She got her head stuck?
Yep. So, anyway... So we'd been in the fire, surrounded by the wildfire for about 3.5 hours when they finally said, okay, the road is safe enough to drive to get out to the highway. And Jess and I just looked at each other and said, okay, we need to normalize this for the kids. We need to not freak out because they're going to take whatever we do and say this is how I should be. So as long as we show them that we need to stay calm, then the kids would stay calm as well. And they did a really good job.
Yeah.
So we got out. We made it down Highway 70. Made it down to Gridley. Yeah. Made it down to Gridley. Had breakfast there. Headed down to Sacramento. And at Sacramento was when we finally heard about how much destruction the campfire had caused.
We didn't know it was called the campfire at the time.
No.
But that's where we learned about how tragic it had been. And that's when I lost it. When I was told how bad it had been, that's when I finally lost it. I couldn't believe that it had consumed the whole community and the town of Paradise.
Yeah, and that it had jumped to the gorge over to Paradise's side.
I couldn't even, eat anything. Not even bacon. I was feeling that bad. I believe it takes me a lot not to eat bacon.
Yep.
This one can eat anything, anytime, anywhere.
Yep. So, that's our fire story. We'll get into more depth if you really want to hear about it.
Go sit somewhere else? You're hungry. Well, your brother's got a sandwich for you.
I made some master grilled cheese.
Why don't you go sit over there and eat some?
Yep.
Oh wait, I have to demonstrate how amazing my grilled cheese is.
How many people come with the Homestead Rescue team? Oh, that's actually a really good question.
Amazing?
Okay.
Okay,
wow.
go.
Amazing.
Anyway.
It depends on the episode. They... As far as actual workers, that depends on how many they can get and what they're going to be doing on the show. For our show, they had 4 contractors that were mostly working on things like well water and digging holes and things like that. They did some work like that around the property, but it was Marty and his family that were doing the lion's share of the work. They would arrive, the contractors would arrive late and leave early. They were only there for a certain amount of time per day. The crew that comes is like the production crew. They're not the workers that do the labor on the property. That can be anywhere from 15 to 20 people that are filming and doing productions and running errands and
so for our episode, it was different than other people's. We've talked with a couple of the other homesteading families, and they're talking about these massive TV crews that came. We had 2 cameramen, 2 to 3 sound men with boom mics, We had one PA, three. Riley, could you? Thank you. Three producers. One was primarily the director, but he still had a producer title. We had the people producer. We jokingly called the people producer. He's the person who dealt with us primarily and with the Rainies and made sure we had everything we needed, and that made sure that we were satisfied with what the Rainies were doing, and made sure the Rainies were happy and satisfied with how everything else was going.
Yeah.
And then the third producer was more on the financial side. He was dealing with the budgets, making sure all the parts and pieces moved in the correct way. So those were the three producers that they had. They had one person in charge of the contractors, and they had one editor.
And then they had a runner who would run to town to get things.
Yeah, that's the PA.
Oh, that, okay, yeah.
So, but yeah, that's...
Production assistant, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
production assistant. And that was it. So 2, 5, 8, 10, maybe 12 people in total from the TV crew.
Yeah.
So not including the Rainies, of course.
Right.
So.
And Clint.
Probably had like 25 people in
Yes, and Clint, who's the quiet assistant to Marty.
Marty's
So-
neighbor, supposedly.
He's their
Yeah.
neighbor.
Yeah, he's their neighbor.
In Alaska,
So-
you're all neighbors.
Exactly. So if
Just
you
like here in Concal.
if you happen to hire your neighbor and have hired their neighbor for many years, he's still a neighbor. So you'll see Clint on a few episodes here and there. He's the guy in the background that is there to help. So.
Great guy.
All right. Let's see. Thank you. That is what I wanted to know. Oh, cute little goat emoji. That's
Aw.
cute.
What?
Can you build a fireproof home?
Not all the way
Liam,
fireproof.
not in front of
Fire-
the camera.
Fire,
Fire resistant?
Fire resistant.
Yes. Fireproof? No. There are things you can do that will help reduce the chance of your house catching on fire.
right. These are things that we're talking about in the Community Development Corporation that we started here in Concal right now. Things like using a metal roof or shale roof rather than using an asphalt roof, and making sure that the overhangs that you have on your home don't have any points of entry for debris to get up underneath. Keeping your gutters clean and free of debris, keeping your roof free of debris. When you design your home, if you're just starting to build your home, making sure that there are not as many peaks and valleys in the roof where debris can collect. And everybody's got this dream in their mind of their homestead having beautiful big porches. Our home had a beautiful wraparound porch that went around 3 sides of the house. It was a beautiful yellow farmhouse with that gorgeous wraparound porch. But it's a great place where stuff can collect, and when embers come, especially at the rate of speed that they were going at, they can collect up underneath, against the house, and burn the wood of the porch. So it's just... nice, easy place for the embers to collect and burn the house down. So even if you have cement siding, like we did, it's going to burn. And
if you keep the fire on it long enough, it will catch.
It will catch because the porch was wood. So our new home has cement poured.
Will have
Concrete poured slabs where the porch or patios are going to be. We had them simplify the roof line. We're asking for them to do a metal roof, all of that. So,
keep going.
Not sure what you're...
I'm trying to talk to Liam without actually talking out loud.
Okay. And he's gesturing over here, and I'm like, what? He's asking you to sit down over here, honey. Sit down while you're eating. Okay, thank you. So
You got it wrong. Sit down while you eat and drink.
Okay.
Okay.
And take care of the cheese, please. That's actually what I was pointing out.
Okay.
The kids are having grilled cheese, and it's kind of getting everywhere.
Okay.
That happens when you have kids.
Not everyone.
All right. Do they make a fire-safe room like a bunker and home similar to those tornado ones?
Ooh.
That won't work, unfortunately.
If you did something like that, I think it would become kind of like an oven.
Yeah, you would possibly be cooked alive, or you would be trapped in there with everything falling down around you.
With this fire, for example, it was fast, but it was really hot.
Yeah.
So something like that might have worked because it went over everything so quickly. But I don't think you would want to put it in the bottom of your house,
No.
because like our house was a 2-story home, and it burned very quickly. In 15 minutes, the house was gone.
Yeah, and it all collapsed
it collapsed.
straight down on top of you.
It collapsed in 2 feet, like he said in the show, a
Two-story
two-story house
became a 2-foot ash pile.
in 15 minutes.
Dad's famous catchphrase.
And digging that debris out to get to a person who was in a fire safe like that I don't think that would have been possible. It took months before they could even get in and start searching the debris for bodies.
Yeah.
So
they didn't even allow us back onto the property for over a month and a half. It was December 16th was the first day they allowed us to even come up and see the property. The fire happened on November 8th.
I guess if you had a big room underground that was in the woods.
Yeah, it would have to be an
up there.
underground bunker away from the house.
Yeah.
And you would probably
You could
still
probably
want.
put a generator in there.
Yeah, you would. I mean, there are things you can do. You can make an underground bunker. As Noto Acre says, it's possible of dying of smoke inhalation. If you installed your own central air, that might not happen.
If you
But
put-
again, if you have, with all of everything that happened here, we lost all of our power. It was completely cut. Yes, you can supplement that with solar panels and
which
windmills.
probably would have burnt up in the fire
The solar
too.
panels would have melted.
The metal was slag. I mean, it just melted in place up here. I wish we still had some of these photos, but I think we still have a few of them where the metal on the cars had melted.
Yeah.
In
And
fact,
the glass melted. It was crazy.
Yeah,
the only thing that did stay standing was the metal dog crate.
And that was steel.
Yeah, we had a steel dog crate with 1/2-inch thick bars on our first floor, and after everything collapsed down, that metal cage had moved from straight up to slightly slanted, and that was it. After an entire floor had fallen on it.
I told the company that if there was ever an earthquake in this area, I was getting in that dog crate with my family.
Yep. Let's see. Did they determine the cause of the fires?
Yes.
We heard a few things here on the East Coast, but never really sure what it was.
Yes, they have
Yes.
determined the cause of the fires.
Yes, they did. It was PG&E. They had not done maintenance on a certain section of the power lines, and these are
The transmission.
the trunk lines that ran power all the way up to Quincy. And they hadn't serviced it in over 25 or 30 years.
And these are 80-plus-year-old transmission lines. They had not inspected them in over 20 years. So what had happened there was there was damage, severe damage, and they failed.
And when it failed, it started sparking, and because of the winds that started whipping it up, it caught. I mean, everything had been very, very dry the entire summer leading up to the fire. The rains hadn't started yet, and it was just almost the perfect storm. It was ready ready for a blaze, and when PG&E power lines caught, it just took off. The wind was whipping at, I believe they were saying, around 50 to 60 miles per hour. The flames were moving at roughly about 2 to 3 football fields a second. So just to give you an idea of how fast those flames were moving.
It was incredibly fast.
Yep.
And when we drove out of here, we drove through a 20-foot wall of flame. The flame was surrounding the house on all sides. There was no other way out. We had to drive through the flames to get out. And it was just everywhere. We came up behind a line of vehicles that we thought were waiting to cross the bridge, but they were all empty. And it was because the people who had been in those vehicles had made a run for the lake when the fire had come towards them. And that was the same wall of fire that we had drove through. And we came up behind them maybe 5 minutes after they had abandoned their vehicles. And we thought that there were just people sitting there. But after a few moments, we realized that the cars weren't occupied, and we ended up going around them. When we came up to the bridge, there was a truck there, and his
tailgate was on fire, and he was just bucketing the tailgate to put it out. And he just hopped in his truck and drove off. And I ran back, and I mean, as I was running back, you could hear propane tanks exploding.
They were exploding everywhere. Trees were exploding. Pine trees were exploding. Because the sap was expanding inside of them from the heat, and they were just bursting. And there were flaming balls of pitch flying through the air like fireballs.
Yeah, it
and
was
hitting the car.
Yeah, as it hit the car, it was just turning to tar, and yeah. So we got out of there. Yeah, it really was a perfect firestorm, and so yeah, that's how it happened. Was a PG&E power line that had not been serviced for over 30 years, was put back in probably 70 or 80 years ago, and it finally failed, and that's what
During
caused
the
it
windstorm.
during a high windstorm.
But all day before the day before this, we had been receiving recordings from PG&E telling us that there was a high likelihood that they were going to turn the power off because of the high winds. So we anticipated them turning the power off. When the power turned off the next morning, we figured it was PG&E turning the power off. But it wasn't. It was the fire up the street from our community. And the fire had started an hour before it hit us up the street in Polga.
Yep.
But we didn't anticipate that it would get anywhere near us.
That it would travel so
That
quickly
was so
across.
quick.
I mean, the fire marshals and the firefighters were saying that it was jumping from hilltop to hilltop to hilltop. It wasn't burning down and up. It was flying and just burning, and then it would burn down the sides.
Yeah,
And it's really amazing that as many people survived as they did. We did. I mean, it was the sixth most deadly fire in the United States history. And nonetheless, it's still miraculous that so many people survived. Because it certainly could have been worse.
Yeah, very much so.
When we did realize how large and how massive this fire really was, everybody was thinking we lost thousands of people.
Yeah. Because, I mean, Paradise had 2 exits, one north, one south. And just, well, 2 south, or 1 east, 1 south. But, I mean, they did not even realize how many people would need to flee all at one time. I mean, at one point, there were officers blocking off the northbound ramp on Skyway because of the amount of cars coming south on the northbound side of the road. And just everybody was just driving south no matter what.
alright. All right, I'm gonna go and take a nap
Okay.
because I'm tired.
Alright.
Okay.
Yeah. So
You know your body. You take a nap if you need to.
I'm
Okay?
taking a nap too.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem.
You want to go lay down too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Or you can take a book if you want to read.
Just try not to argue and fight.
I'm reading this great book called The Fifth Wave.
Okay.
You're reading The Fifth Wave?
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
No,
Enjoy.
You can find your mark.
I'm sure
Don't
you'll
worry.
find it.
is that my mark? I don't think so, but
Okay.
Has the
Enjoy.
boulder pen worked well for the goats?
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
What?
If we pull out the one goat that truly is the mischievous one, then it works fine. But if she's part of the herd, she leads everybody straight out. So
She's the herd queen.
she has found the ways around it. And the running joke, if you're a goat herder, is with your fences, if it doesn't hold water, it won't hold a goat.
That's right.
That's very true. The goat henge right now is a great place for the ducks, and it's a great place for our donkeys. The donkeys are guardian donkeys for their ducks, but we have the goats in our winter pen right now. So, hopefully that answers your question.
We have plans for improvement on it, but we haven't worked on it yet because we wanted to save that work until we were allowed to film it for our
For our channel.
viewers.
Yep.
So we have all of the materials set aside to do the work on that, so we can put the goats back in. But we may not make use of it for the goats. We actually have a few too many goats to actually make use of it that way, because
Give me 1 second.
our herd has grown. So,
Just a moment, please.
but it is a great place to store the feed for the animals, and the donkeys are really enjoying it. The ducks are enjoying it, and our geese are coming back soon. And we're also working on NPIP certification as a rare breed waterfowl hatchery. So we'll be bringing in other breeds of ducks and geese to the property here pretty soon. So we have our eyes on a couple of different breeds that are listed on the livestock conservancy's list as very rare heritage breeds. So we'll probably be bringing those in here, some this spring and some next spring. So thinking we'll probably be ready to start shipping eggs next spring from some of those breeds and the following spring from the rest. So that depends on your state how you get Rustic Traditions Homestead asked, how do you get NPIP certified? It depends on your state what the process is, but generally you apply to your local state authorities, and then they come and inspect your property. They'll send somebody out to inspect your property. You have to send in blood samples to a local lab to test your animals, a certain percentage of your animals.
You're asking for a closer look at the baby goat.
Okay, sure. I'll have to hold her up until I can be sure that they can see her because it's lag. And test for diseases. And then if you pass the inspection and your birds don't have diseases, then they will certify you. Here in California, there are supposed to be 2 different ways to get NPIP certified, but they have closed the small and a lot more expensive. But it's probably for the best because Southern California is experiencing rampant Newcastle's disease. So they need to control that and make sure that there are no infected birds getting out of the state and causing problems for other people. Newcastle's isn't as common in waterfowl, but it's a concern. And it doesn't matter whether or not you're just breeding waterfowl. for NPIP certification, you have to have your chickens, if you're breeding them for your own homestead, your chickens on your property also have to be tested. If you have turkeys, your turkeys also have to be tested, even if they're for your own consumption. It doesn't matter how far away you have them from your ducks and your geese. They still have to be tested if they're on your property. So all of our animals, all of our poultry have to be tested regardless of how far away they are from our waterfowl.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the one with the little one with the broken leg. Mm-hmm. She has her leg splinted right now. Let's see.
Yep.
Yeah, she wants to walk really bad right now.
She's
does. Been getting around very well. On the third day, she started walking and starting to put a little bit of pressure on it. And she's been getting around pretty good. She's doing really well, actually. Mm-hmm. But yeah, she's not happy to be confined and held. She likes to be snuggled, but she really wants to be walking around and running around on all four legs. And she's starting to put a little bit of pressure on it. Our experience has been that usually after about a week, they'll start to put a little bit of pressure on it. And about 8 weeks, they're running around just like any other goat. But you really need to keep it on for about 16 weeks just to be on the safe side. So, she's really cute. She's tricolored. She's really pretty.
Yep.
Just like her daddy.
Yes. Her breed is called Kiko. She's she's not from Australia, but her breed is from New Zealand.
From New Zealand, yeah.
Yeah. And those are the primary goats that we run, are Kikos. Just because they are about the same dress out as a boar, and they give comparable amount of milk to boar as well.
Better than a boar.
Better than a boar.
We raise them instead of boars because they have better mothering instincts. They're healthier. You hardly ever have to clip their hooves. They have harder hooves. Mm-hmm. They're all around just a better goat. Stronger mothering instincts. They tend to have twins, triplets, or quads, and they're capable of handling that many babies because they have better milk. They have better mothering instincts. The babies are born smaller, but they quickly catch up to about the same size as a boar baby will by the time that they are ready to go to market. We don't actually market our goats. We did think we would at one time, but we didn't end up doing that. Our goats are used for fire abatement, so they get to go to other people's property and help clear their lands.
Yeah. So. Have a good night, No-Dos Acres. Good talking with you.
Yes, he likes to snuggle under his beard.
Yes.
It's fluffy like a mama goat.
Yeah.
Oh, she is a snuggly little thing.
She is very snuggly, yes. All right, so what other questions do you guys have for us about the Homestead Rescue episode? That is the primary reason we're here talking. We love talking about other things, though.
I'll talk about goats all night long.
Oh, yeah. Goats are definitely Jess's thing, so... I'm just trying to keep her away from Rose, because then I'll never see her again.
Me and Rose will run off into the sunset together.
Talking goats the entire time. Yep. All right, so let's see. Do you have goats for a health need or for work they do, or maybe both?
Both.
Primarily both.
We started out with the goats because Craig and our boys and a couple of other of our foster youth were lactose intolerant. Mm-hmm. And I had goats when I was a kid because I grew up as on a homestead. And I had goats, and so I wanted to have goats, and I love goat's milk. I grew up on that, and so I insisted we had to have goats, And that's about the time they realized they were lactose intolerant. So it was a good thing for the health of our family to have goat's milk. And yeah, after that, it was, well, we got two girls, and then we got Spider Roll. She was pregnant, and she had always given triplets before. And yeah, she gave triplets. Then we got a couple more goats.
Yeah.
And then they all had babies, so there were more goats, and then more goats, and more goats, and more goats. And that's, well...
We haven't bought goats in like 4 years, and we're still growing, just because of goat birth.
Yeah, well, goats are like, she gotcha.
You got me.
Goats are like
It
potato
happens.
chips. So... At one point, we had talked about decreasing our goat population down to just 2 girls and 1 buck. It was right before the fire. And then the fire happened, and we couldn't possibly part with them after they all survived the fire.
No.
After the fire, after all the girls gave birth, we had 22 goats. We found a home for a couple of them that we had some dairy girls mixed in with our Kikos. They couldn't compete for the food.
No.
So we found homes for them and their babies. And then we kept all the Kikos and the high Kiko cross mixes that we had. And that's what we have now. So they're all either 100% Kiko or they're like 75% Kiko. And we kept all of those.
Yep.
And that's what we have now.
Yeah, they're a great breed. Much, much quieter than boars.
Yeah.
I mean...
Oh, yeah. They don't usually make noise unless it's time to feed them or, you know. Well, we have one boar.
We do.
She's a boar cross. And she is our biggest troublemaker. She is our biggest troublemaker.
Yes, constant. It's like, okay, where did she go? Oh, there she is. She's trying to climb over the fence again.
She is big and she can knock down fences. She finds ways to push the fences open. She's heavy, so she's just...
She gets up there and throws her weight at the fence and tries to bend it around.
And she was a bottle baby because she was a 4-H goat. So she is extremely, extremely affectionate and wants to be near the people. So we love her, of course, but, you know, yeah, she is very, very friendly. And I don't mind them being friendly at all, but if you are in the pen, she's going to be right in your pocket, sticking her nose in your pocket, sticking her nose in whatever you're doing. If we're building something, she's putting her nose in this package of screws. If she's just always in things, and I love her so much, but she is a troublemaker, and she leads all the other goats into trouble. But the good thing about that is that if we need the goats to go somewhere, we just lead her and they all follow her. So I don't know that I would ever want to get rid of her because it makes it really easy to get the other goats to go where we want them to go. We put her in the trailer, all the rest go in the trailer. If we want them to all go into a new pasture, we just move her and they all follow her. So, you know, once you've identified who your herd queen is, the others all kind of follow suit and do whatever the herd queen is doing. So it helps. And she's part Nigerian, rustic traditions homestead. So, you know, like, imagine a Nigerian personality in a big boar goat body, and that's what you have. And she was incredibly spoiled by her 4-H girls, young girls, teenagers who raised her. So she thinks that she is all that. Brenda Montagna. The episode is locked for me, but I am hoping it will unlock soon. The other episodes are unlocked. Discovery Go. I can hardly wait. I told my husband that I knew you. Cool. We were watching them on Discovery Go at first. Oh, my blanket. It's falling down, Craig.
Oh, sorry.
Can you help me?
Yep.
we were watching on Discovery Go at first because we don't have television up here. We have computers and cell phones, and that's really all we have. And then we discovered that our cell phone plan, AT&T, allowed us to watch it through Watch
TV.
Watch TV on AT&T. So that's how we ended up getting a chance to watch it. And but you can also catch it on Amazon, on Hulu, and on YouTube. You may have to pay for those services to purchase the episode or the season, but you can also watch it on those.
Yeah, I think Amazon Prime has it for like $3 for the episode, or like $20 for the entire season. So, but it works out to about if you were going to buy each and every episode, just might as well pay for the season. You're paying the exact same price. Let's see. Brenda is asking, how did the goats survive the fire? Did you let them go or something?
Okay, so I've got a couple of words about that. One of our friends who also raises Kikos here, her goats did not survive the fire. And I'm told that the reason why was because they opened the gates and they ran out of their pastures. Well, with our goats, we opened the gates for all of our animals because our trailers were on fire. We had no way to get them out. But we threw food into the pen, and we knew the fire was moving fast. By the food long enough, the fire might pass them by.
Yeah, because the goats had fully cleared their pen. The pen at the time was, what do you think, about an acre and a half?
Yeah, it was their dry lot that we keep them in when we were not moving them around on the property. And it was near the tail end of the fire season, so we weren't moving around in electric fences yet. Yep. So we had them in the dry lot still. And
they had cleared everything out.
Everything.
Up to
They'd
about...
stripped all the trees.
Yeah, 6 to 7 feet.
Yeah. And all the grasses, there wasn't anything to burn. The fence is T-posts and field fencing and with electric wire on the top. And that's what we used for the dry lot. When we move them around, we use electric mesh fencing from Premier One. And that works great for moving them around because they're only going to be there for about 7 days before they get moved again, so they don't get curious enough to try and get through the fence onto the other side. Sometimes we even move them more quickly if there's not enough stuff for them to eat. So we had them in the dry lot. We opened up the gates and we cut the chickens' fence because it was poultry fence and net and stuff. It was just too tangled of a mess to try and open. We cut the fences, opened gates, called all the animals, the pigs, the sheep, the chickens, the ducks, the turkeys, the geese, called them all into the goat pen and dumped the food, and then we hopped in the car with the cats, the dogs, the kids, and left. And
from the time from the time we realized that there was a fire and we had to leave till the time we left was about 15 minutes.
At most.
So, and this was with everybody running around, knowing what they need to do, getting it done, and getting all those animals into the goat pen.
And our neighbors say that our house burned down 15 minutes after we left.
Yep.
So, we really got out in the nick of time.
Just in the nick of time.
And most of our animals survived. We lost 2 pigs and about a dozen birds out of over 100 birds. Maybe more than that. I think we were probably close to 150 birds altogether at the time.
Probably.
And that's it. I mean, most of the birds survived. We lost a turkey. We didn't lose any geese. We lost a couple of ducks and about a dozen chickens. All the rest of the animals survived.
Yep, because they all went into the goat lot.
They all ran into the goat pen. And by the time they realized that there was anything going on, the fire had already passed them by because they were busy eating. It was morning breakfast time, and the kids had gone out to feed and water them when they found the fire.
Yep.
So they hadn't fed them yet. So I don't know that we would have had the same scenario had the fire happened in the middle of the night when it wasn't time to move it wasn't light enough to move the animals. I don't know that would have been the same scenario. Or if we had opened up the gates and not had a chance to feed them or distract them, like our friends had done with their goats.
Mm-hmm.
But if it weren't for our goats clearing that land, the animals wouldn't
We
be
would have
here.
lost almost all of them. All right. What other questions? Let's see. Chelsea is asking, do you have a favorite project from Homestead Rescue? What is yours first?
You know, like I said, I mean, it's really hard to pick a favorite. I mean, I'm absolutely so tickled about the pond that they didn't talk about on the show.
Yep.
Because that was such a surprise, and it was one of the features that we always wanted on our land to have some kind of water on the land for our animals. And like, you find something like that on your property, and it's just like, I mean, that's the magic ingredient that you need to take care of everything. And we didn't know what was there. That was an unused area of our property.
Yeah, really
It
hard
was
to get back
so
to.
overgrown and so hilly and so rocky. And when Marty was excavating back there, a little trickle of water started coming out of the ground. And so we dug a little deeper, and sure enough, there was a spring there.
Mm-hmm.
And so he dug it out and made a pond. And that was so cool. I was like, there's a pond on our property now. Wow, that's awesome. And he was so happy to release those ducks into the pond.
Oh my gosh.
I wish they'd showed that
really
part
wish-
on the video, because he was just laughing and smiling, letting those ducks loose, and he was throwing the ducks into the pond, and he was having a great old time with that.
Yep.
He has some ducks on the water nearby his cabin, so I think that might have reminded him a bit of that. And the ducks are just crazy about that pond. They love it. They go out and swim on it all the time.
Yep.
And it's
Yeah,
so
you'll
crucial.
get to, you guys will get to see the pond.
We'll definitely do videos about that.
Yeah,
for sure.
I know I did one just the other day, releasing the ducks, and you'll get to see them fly from their cage and land right on the pond.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. There's so much that we can finally show you all now that we're allowed to. That we weren't allowed to show you before.
yeah, keeping that
so-
goat henge secret was really hard when we were doing filming.
So hard.
Trying to find angles so that you couldn't see the connexes in the background. I couldn't just walk around with the camera and turn this way and that, because it's a big feature on our land, so it's hard to blur it out.
It is really hard to not capture that in the videos. So now we don't have to do that. We're going to do a tour of the property
Coming up.
and we're going to do the behind the scenes. Probably that's going to be the same video, the behind the scenes / tour. It might be 2 videos. I'm not sure how much footage we
We'll
actually
see.
have, so we'll see. But that's definitely going to be in there.
Yep.
And then we'll show you some of the things that we've done since then. And things that we're working on.
Yep. And as things come up, it's we're gonna show you as things happen, both the good and the bad, and figure out how we can overcome the bad to make it even better.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of stuff ahead of us, and it's a long way back, coming back from this fire. But we have been so blessed by so many amazing people along the way. The Rainies, of course, are fabulous, and they're an amazing family. But we have been blessed by many other amazing people too along the way. And I mean, like I said before, there are still people from this fire who are living in tents and living in cars. And we are blessed that we have this RV to live in. We were blessed to have a place to go after the fire. We are by no means hard up compared to many
Some
other
others.
people.
Yeah.
This was a devastating fire. Like we've said before, the 6th most deadly fire in the United States history. And you can't really fathom how hard this is for this community until you've seen it. it is absolutely terrifying. It's going to be decades before this community is back on its feet.
Yeah.
Generations of trauma we're talking about here.
Yep.
The people in this community still are in need of help. And I'm so thankful. And for those of you who are YouTubers who are watching right now, I want to thank you specifically. We want to thank you specifically because watching other YouTubers doing homesteading when we couldn't be on our homestead was incredibly helpful to us when we couldn't be doing what we love.
Yeah. It kept us sane.
It really did.
It really did.
It kept our hope alive that we could come back and make a go of this again. This has been a lifelong dream for me. I know it hasn't been for Craig because he's a city boy, as he likes to say.
I'm not anymore.
He was a city boy. But it has been a lifelong dream for me. And I have had that dream pulled out of my hands so many times through my life. First with my disability when I was in the Army, and various other times in my life. And to finally be able to realize it and start a family, and everything was going so beautifully, and then to have it torn away again was so devastating. But watching you all out there doing it was inspiring to our family. And it kept us sane and kept us going when we weren't sure we could do it again. And we are so grateful to you all for that. Thank you.
All right. So, back on topic.
It's on topic.
It is on topic. I'm sorry. It is on topic. What other questions do you guys have for us? Okay. I'm being told that it's getting late. So, we have time for one more question. Come on, guys. Let's hear from some of the people who haven't asked any questions. Spit one out. We'll get it answered, and then we're going to close up. Do the Rainies sleep?
I'm not sure if Marty sleeps, but
Great question.
I've had conversations with him in the middle of the night, like at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I'm not sure if he sleeps, but that's okay because I don't sleep much either.
Technically, the production company does purchase a hotel room for them, but I can't tell you whether they actually use it. No, but they, for the show itself, they are not allowed to work past 8 hours, and that also includes the drive time from the homestead to the hotel or motel or wherever they're staying. So for us, because of the amount of people that have been displaced because of the fire, we saw people living in hotels and motels, and it's been over a year. They could not find a hotel anywhere near us. They ended up having to stay down in Yuba City.
Which is about an hour.
It's about an hour and 15-minute drive each direction. So they never could spend the entire 8 hours for that day. At most, they had about 5.5 hours, about 5.5 hours on the land itself. So, whether they sleep or not, I couldn't tell you.
And they didn't sleep much while they were here.
No. Marty definitely is a workhorse. For at least 3 days straight, he was on that excavator working on goat henge. And, I mean, he refused lunch. He refused to stop working and come and eat lunch. But we would send the PA down with lunch for him. He would eat it on the excavator, sitting in his lap. The food was in his lap, and he would continue to work the controls as he ate lunch. And he just never stopped. I mean, when people say, "Oh yeah, it's probably just for TV," no, this guy works, and when he works, I mean, he has fun on the excavator. He enjoys being on it. He even after he had finished like the 3 days of work, and he still hadn't fully finished Goathenge. He came down and he was stretching his back, going, "Oh, that felt pretty good." And Misty was like, "Great, I need the excavator." She grabbed it, drove it over, started clearing stuff out, and when he was done with what we thought he was done for the day, but he came over, hopped on, and said, "Hey, do you need help?" for Misty, and then helped her clean out the area that became the garden. I was like, "Marty, you've been on the excavator for almost 5 hours, and now you're getting back on to help your daughter." He was like, "Yep." Just not even worried about it. So.
Yeah. Insane. Like, great guy. Great family, really. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about them. We just love them to pieces.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. And we're friends with them. We chit chat once in a while. So.
but they're busy people.
They are.
Like we are.
Yep.
Oh.
All right.
But I just wanted to say that. Thank you. Thank you
Yep.
all. You know, you really are an inspiration. I want you to realize how much of an inspiration you are, not just to people out there who wish that they were homesteading, but to people who are actually doing it. And, you know, you don't know at any minute when you might be inspiring somebody or helping them, you know, realize their dreams. Any one thing you could be saying, even something that you feel might be small, no, it could be really big to somebody else. And
Keep doing what you're doing.
Keep doing it. Keep doing it, because it's made a huge difference in our lives. And your support has meant so much. It really does.
Yeah.
It really does. Yeah. The
All right.
encouragement helps.
So, real quick, we got a couple of questions that sent in. What kind of stuff is growing in the garden now?
Kale. Lots of kale.
Yeah,
Swiss chard.
Romanesco.
Romanesco. Let's see, we've got some cabbages that need to come out before I plant some more. We're getting ready to put some carrots in. We have we did a seed unveiling in one of our YouTube videos not too long ago of what we're going to be putting in the next week to 3 weeks. So, and we're getting ready to put in a greenhouse so that we can grow more.
Get all those starts started.
Other starts, because some of the stuff I can plant right now because it's Northern California. Well, there'll be other things that I won't be able to put in right now. So a lot of stuff I can just direct plant. So we got a lot of stuff, mostly a lot of brassicas.
Yes.
You know, but we're getting ready right now to go to transfer over to spring planting. So we've got about 85 different varieties of seeds to be going in.
Yeah, about that.
And we planned out the garden the other night. So we've got a lot.
We're gonna
of
have
stuff.
a lot of fun.
And we're gonna have to make a bigger garden.
Yep. All right, guys, we're at the 2-hour mark, so we are going to cut it. So,
but thank you so much for joining us on our very first live stream, and we will work on doing like a live stream maybe once a week. I think we'll try.
We'll talk about it.
We'll see, because I mean, it's fun. We really enjoy talking to you all.
Yeah, we really do. It feels great to grow food again. It really does.
That first meal that we had that was all off the land was just
phenomenal.
It felt so wonderful to finally do that.
Yes,
and we had a goat stew the other night that was really good.
Yep.
That was not one of our goats, but
No.
it was a dear friend. Unfortunately, her goat was not doing well, and she asked if we would
if we would
take care of him for
humanely.
her. she couldn't do it herself, and she wanted us to take care of it and to make use of the meat so that it wouldn't go to waste. So we did that, and yeah, wonderful. It's just nice to be able to have our meals off the land.
All right. Take care, all.
Oh, Sojourner, nice that you made it. Sorry you made it late, but catch us next time, okay?
Yep, we're hoping to do this again.
Thank you. Thank you all for making it, and we'll see you next time. And don't forget to check out our other videos and click like and subscribe and hit those notifications so that you know when we're doing other videos, okay?
Yep, click that bell.
Click that bell. All right. See you next time.
Love you. Bye.